So you guys are absolutely phenomenal in your own rights. Beautiful sisters in the house, that's the lovely thing you have in common. Lovers of Jesus, believers, it's absolutely beautiful. And then this wonderful thing, and I thought just to have all of us in the same room. Both of you have been doing very, very interesting and outstanding campaigns during this period to help the community around us. And so Terry meet Mishelle, Mishelle meet Terry.
Lovely to meet you, Mishelle.
Same here, Terry.
Yeah. So I think to start us off with, I just want you guys to share your story in terms of what you've been doing and why. Why community? When everybody's trying to save their family and their skin, why are you bothered to help somebody else? Terry, you look like you want to say something.
Okay, all right. I will start. As you rightly said, that I love God. I'm a Christian. I'm married to my best friend, Mel Brooks, who's one of the kindest person that I share a lot of value with. And one of those values is helping others. People who are less fortunate and always looking beyond our pain or what is bothering us to how we can help other people. So one of the things that I also believe in is that God put me here on earth for a plan and a purpose, and that purpose is to be his eyes, his heart, his hands, and feet to the broken and the marginalized, to help others, to make other people's dreams come true, and to change their circumstances, even in a small way. I follow a Zimbabwean businessman called Strive Masiwa on Facebook, and he mentioned in May that Zimbabwe was one of the few countries that had not been given debt relief aid by the IMF for several reasons, which I will not delve into. That really moved me because the other countries who got the relief aid could start buying their PPE and start doing preparations for COVID-19 and just to alleviate the impact. Looking at Zimbabwe, more than 70% of the people live below the poverty line, earning less than $1 a day. And with COVID-19 lockdown, that really impacted in terms of most of the people are in formal trade, and the lockdown meant they could not put food on the table. And also a lot of people, they don't have adequate housing. So it wasn't just about the COVID-19 lockdown impacting bread and butter issues, but it was also winter. And with rolling blackouts, how do we keep people warm? So our campaign was food hamper and blanket drive. And we also added an impact, we also added a part of how do we educate the village where we were going to give the aid to on how to use the masks, how to protect themselves, and how to sanitize their hands. Wow. That was the campaign in a nutshell.
Wow. Wow. Very nice.
Wow. Mishelle, on your side?
Hi there, guys. So yes, I also attend Rivers Church. Also been a partner there for over 12 years. But apart from that, I'm married. I have 3 kids. I'm a business owner. I'm also the deputy chair lady of my son's school, and I'm the chair lady of my complex. So I have quite a huge network. as you know, Tim, we started a community group in Bramley. I've been living in Bramley for over 5 years. And there was just this need to start this community group. I think we live in an era where, you can no longer afford to live behind your high walls, in terms of security issues, etc. So we started this group. We've got over 100 people on the group. In addition to that, we've got our ward councillors on the group as well. So when this pandemic started, there was a request from one of the councillors that said, Mishelle, she actually came behind the scenes and she said, Mishelle, we have a bit of a problem here. Our current government has been handing out food parcels, and, if you listen to the news, you would have found that it wasn't going to the right people. There was a lot of, articles that came about saying that families and friends, etc., were receiving it. So what actually happened was, if you think about it, everybody was affected by the pandemic. Your average households within suburbia, people lost their jobs, people were on short time, they weren't receiving their normal income. And what actually happened was government wasn't, seeing to these people that lived in your suburbs. And what would happen is you would find a family that perhaps lost their jobs, both husband and wife, could no longer then, afford to pay their rent, yet alone, afford to have money for groceries. And they would basically contact their ward councillors and say, how do we get hold of these government food parcels? And it was quite unfortunate because the ward councillors would say, we don't have any. And that's where the request came out, saying, can our community get together and, can we see if people are willing to contribute to groceries? Well, that was the first need, was groceries. And then we put that out on our community group. And apart from there, I put it out on my WhatsApp profile. And the response was just, amazing. I mean, I had people from the community. I had people from my social circle. I had people from my son's school. All came together, contributing to to the grocery food parcel initiative. And then from there, it went on to a request for blankets for the homeless. There as well, people contributed wholeheartedly. There was a request for 31 blankets. We were able to purchase 26 blankets. From there, I've just had, community members just going all out to try and assist. I've had a bakery owner that gave us a concession on bread, loaves of bread, where he would charge us X amount, provided that it was going towards our charity initiative. So we've done everything from groceries to blankets to bread, sanitary items, and just the generosity of people within our community, within our social circle, has just been amazing.
Wow. And so I was actually just going to ask you around the heart of the community in terms of generosity and what your sense has been. And I think you kind of spoke to that, Mishelle. I don't know, any thoughts, Terry, from your experience? Do you feel people are generous, people are sensitive to people's needs, and they are willing to help, but maybe sometimes there's no channel to do that? I don't know what your thoughts are.
It is so amazing that people love helping. People love reaching out from their point of pain and need. They're always looking out on how they can help, even in a small way. When we started the food hamper and blanket drive, I didn't even know where and how I was going to get this money. And it's so amazing that when I put the flyer on the Connect group, our Rivers Church Connect group, those were some of the first people, my church community, who started giving. Like people I don't even know, who didn't even know me. And then one of the things that was kind of over and above, I'd said, okay, this is an over and above about this charity drive, was having face masks. And I was thinking, look, if we have money enough that we raise, we will buy face masks. But it's so amazing when I put on Facebook, people that didn't even know me donated. One lady donated 150 face masks. Another Muslim guy, we don't even know, donated 120 face masks. And people we don't even know, some donated 500 gospel tracts. And people from the UK who don't even know the community in Zimbabwe, people from all over, like you, Tim, you and Pierre, you also donated to this drive. So there is something inside the hearts of people to give, and not to look at their needs only, but to see from that point of pain, how can I also give? Because a lot of people are, like Mishelle mentioned, have been impacted in a way that they're working fewer days, salaries have been cut, and so forth. And I was actually moved by one lady I used to work with, and she said, Terry, I'm sorry, I've just given you X amount. It's because I've been out of a job since September last year. So it's so amazing. It's really touching, team.
Wow. So heartwarming, my goodness. I'm just curious, from your own recollections, I don't know, however far you want to go, of generosity. Where did you see generosity modeled? Or what inspired, at what point have you seen generosity on lives? And you can share personal stories, whatever the case may be. Maybe Mishelle, you might want to take this one.
Yes. So Tim, for me, it goes as far back as my mom and dad. We were brought up in KZN, on a farm, a rural area. My parents were not wealthy. They were not rich. But basically they had this heart of giving. Whatever we had, we always shared it with our neighbors. We always looked at people that had less than us. So, if we had something better, if we had the first TV, we would invite the neighbors to come over and watch TV with us. There was always the sense of sharing, of community, of giving, of loving. And just to bring us back to the current situation, what I did notice, when I initiated the request for items, is that, race, culture, religion played absolutely no part. Charity goes beyond all those borders. Surprisingly, I receive stuff from people that are less fortunate than me, people that brought 1 ton of something, and I've said to people, 1 ton can help a family. So, we didn't need huge amounts of donations and stuff like that. We would accept anything. So, I'm so grateful that people donated whatever their heart desired. And it actually did go out and help families in need.
Wow. Wow. Terry, for you?
For me, it is the generosity is modeled in first, how God gave us his only begotten son, Jesus, to, he came in human form, he died for us on the cross. And that is just the ultimate act of generosity. And growing up, like Mishelle, my mom and dad, it's 4 of us in our family, but we never were 4 of us. We had so many people staying at our house, so many cousins that my parents
were. Really can relate as well.
Yeah, the relatives, they were paying school fees, looking after, they've come to the city to look for a job or whatever. And that was just the generosity. We're not wealthy, but they would help perpetually, helping. And my mom's mom, she really loved, she was so generous. So all of us grandchildren would go to her home in the village, and we all loved to have a drumstick. So she had all these chickens, and I promise you, the time we were there, we will all take chances to have a drumstick before we left to go back to our homes. And everyone would give her money, but she would always give it back to us grandchildren or to other people. So that for me, she really modeled generosity as well.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
It's so moving to hear that, because I think and I think this is the other side of it, which is, if you really look around, people are very frustrated, you know. I don't know, short of the fuse is very short, and there's almost this angst, and then there's almost a pulling away, because now things obviously have been this COVID situation has really made people, or pushed the edges a lot of around many things, whether in terms of opportunities and so on, for businesses, for people who are in jobs and so on. And yet there's this other undercurrent, you know. So I don't know, when you look at both, I don't know what your sense is in terms of where our world finds itself in, you know. Are we finding ourselves where we are stretching more a hand and saying, how can I help somebody? Or is it more people trying to look within and trying to conserve and self-preserve? I don't know what your thoughts are, just broadly speaking, because I think what you both of you have modeled, you know, you really modeled the best of us. But there's equally sometimes the challenge of the fears that come because of the fact that, you know, there's a bit of scarcity, or a sense of scarcity around, you know, by virtue of the pandemic, for example. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Tim, let me answer that. From my personal life, you know, I did say I was self-employed. You know, second month into the lockdown, you know, I had those fears. I shared those fears because I didn't know where my next income was coming from. But, you know, I still pursued with the charity drive. You know, I still pursued with requesting items to help other people. You know, and I do believe that God says that when you take care of, you know, his house and his people, he will take care of you. And, you know, that has just proved so true for me. I cannot explain to you, I had so much of uncertainty and fear, you know, during the lockdown, because, you know, I couldn't understand, you know, with my business, we are in contact with people. And I thought, how do we run this business? How do we get an income coming through? And, you know, God defied all of that. I cannot explain to you, this has been one of my busiest times ever. We've been so blessed. The only explanation is that it's by the grace of God. You know, we've continued giving. We give to the church. I've been giving to the community. You know, I've had people that have lost their jobs. You know, I've had pensioners that have, you know, just enough for themselves, that have all, you know, I think just put other people first. In a time like this, we realize that there are people worse off than us. And, you know, that we should be grateful for what we have. You know, yes, we may be struggling. Yes, we may have taken, you know, a decrease in our income, but, you know, I've had people that really that have gone out and contributed, that have been selfless, not selfish, during a time like this, and I've seen it. It's been amazing. People have just been amazing during this time.
Wow.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree, because if I look at the people that I approached with the flyers and the concept for the drive, I can say that a large percentage of them, they gave what they could. A small percentage, let's say even 1%, they didn't give because they are already overstretched, because they are giving to other charities and to other drives. There was no one who really said, I can't give because I don't have, or I'm also struggling. That was my experience. So the charity heart and spirit is very much alive in South Africa and beyond. What I've seen is people are looking for a structure, are looking at someone who can come up with an idea of saying, this is what we are doing, this is the the drive we are doing, a charity drive, we have identified these people and this is how it's going to work, and they want to be part of something, but not for them to start from scratch and start looking. And they also want someone they can trust, because a lot of times you give, but you never know whether what you give is going to go to the people that are intended. So once that trust has been established, there is a vehicle, there is a structure, people are more than willing to give. I've seen that awesome charity Ubuntu in nearly everyone I've encountered during this time.
And yet, Terry, I know you were freaking out initially. It's like, I've never done this. How do you do it? How do you get stuff across the border? Tell us a little bit about your experience, because it obviously wasn't hunky-dory. It's like, manna dropping from heaven and the angels delivering it on the other side. I don't know, just how was that for you? And any lessons and, things that you probably learned along the way?
Initially, when I read this post from Strive Masiwa's Facebook page, and he was encouraging everyone to do something, even small, in the communities that they know or they are based, and not to have to wait for someone to come and do something. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe I should do something around, something easier, or maybe just my helper or someone I know. But I kept just in my heart, saying, look, if Zimbabwe has not received much of the debt relief, then I need to be doing something there. But borders are closed. So it meant it's very difficult to get things across to go to Zimbabwe. And the transporters are so exorbitant because they are the only ones. So the buses are not carrying and everything. So when I started, at one point I wanted to give people back their money because of the quotations I was receiving to just transport these blankets, because we had about 62 blankets. We had food hampers with, like huge food, like maybe 400 rands or 450 rands worth of pay each hamper times 50. So it was, at one point, someone was quoting me almost more than half of what we had raised just to move these things across to Zimbabwe. And there was a thing of, are you a registered charity? And the duties you have to pay because you're not, they don't know for sure that you want to give these things to charity. Maybe you just want to sell them. I was so encouraged because I shared with the Connect group, and every week, I just loved it. Everyone would ask, tell us, where are you at now? And how can we pray? And, just the counsel, and the guidance I received, although it was something new, something I'd never, ever done before. So and when God is in something and he wants it done, he makes a way for it to happen. You don't know because you're so scared, but I think he, like the children of Israel, he wants you to step into the water, then you move it. If you're still out of the water, nothing is happening. You need the courage to step out to do it. And then you see that he has put in place everything. And he's already made allowances. He's already made provision. So we ended up getting someone, a truck driver. We initially said, look, I'll charge you 200 rands a blanket to send it to him. And I'm like, but, I can't do this. I just like, okay, this is not going to happen. And then he messaged me out of the blue after 2 days, says, okay, I'll charge you 30 rands a blanket. Wow. And everything got there, nothing broken, nothing missing. And we got God put in place people in Zimbabwe who like had a heart to also help, and, they made sure they did exactly what I would have done. Because I'm such a stickler for detail, project management. I want things done professionally, transparency. And these people made sure everything was done accordingly to the way that I wanted. They gave up their time. And They took pictures for us. And it was just like, I was worried that I can't travel to seem to do it, to do the handover. But everything happened so, quickly and on time because God was in it.
Mm.
Yeah. So I know, Mishelle, I call you the resident mayor because of many hands. I don't know when you get to sleep because you do so many amazing things in the community, not just this one. But yet you're not
Thank
really a
you.
professional. You're somebody who just throws your heart at this. I don't know what lessons you reflect from your side, this journey that you've been on.
Thank you for that, Tim. Yeah, so I just feel that we all have a part to play in community, within your social circles. We all have qualities that we can put to use, and that could be useful in different situations. So I just think I have a helping heart, and because I have the connection of so many different people. We can all work together in helping each other, whether it be an electricity issue, or raising funds to help a community. I mean, what our community group is about.
Yeah.
It's about anything and everything.
At any time,
At any time, and we're all there to help each other. And the surprising thing, Tim, is that most of us haven't met each other face to face on that group. We know each other by name, and what really stood out for me was when I did the charity drive, I had a lot of people come over, and I finally put a face to their names. And it was amazing, and I think there's a need for us at some point, once lockdown is over, for the community just to get together, because we work so well. We all respect each other. We respect each other's values, opinions. We have some very heated discussions on the community, but at the end of the day, we all fighting the same fight, right? So yeah, it's been amazing. And I think, just when there's God in it, when there's respect in it, when you respect people, you can overcome anything, and you can, basically achieve what you set your heart out to do, and I think that's what we're doing as a community. I mean, the community in Bramley's been amazing.
Yeah, and thank you, Mishelle, for taking that trouble of, I know sometimes we butt heads and everything, but yet you're there just, like trying to get everybody together, sometimes providing the necessary tough love or guideline that we need. But all the same, just moving forward, I think it's I find this a very, because I was speaking to a friend yesterday, she's in the US, and I was just saying, I think people who go beyond themselves, and it's such a remarkable quality. And that's why you guys stood out, and I said, we must have this conversation. Yeah, so in terms of family and faith and, the next generation, I don't know what your thoughts are, because I think we are all in family and we are very passionate and committed. How do we help the young ones to really learn about generosity? When it's YouTube, it's Netflix, it's all about your toys, and, there's a very strong commercial culture out there that is almost anti-community in a way, meaning you could almost live in a room and be okay and not need anything from anyone, because now you can order everything on Uber or using your whatever, and it's delivered to you. I don't know. So I think more from the family side, and of course you'll comment also on the faith side, in terms of really taking this forward.
I think the important thing to note is charity begins at home. We cannot be saying something to our children, but we don't practice it. Our children need to see us doing it, doing charity, being generous. And it starts not even just outside, it starts with the people who work for us in our homes. How charitable are we towards them, in terms of even, are we paying them a fair wage? Are they working decent hours? Do we know how many children they have? You know, if when they are sick, and if maybe they don't even have school fees, but maybe we are busy raising school fees for other people out there. So it starts in the home. It starts with people that are closest to us. And as we model this to our children begin to believe it, and it becomes a core of who they are because they see us doing it. It becomes part of life. It becomes a lifestyle. I was reading an article on Bill Gates' daughter. She's doing I think she's going into a second year of medicine. And it was so profound when you read what she has to say, that she is a child or a daughter that has been raised to know that she's here on earth to add value, to look at the marginalized, to see how she can help others, because there's always people who are who are more needy than she is, who have not grown in that privilege. And you can even see by the way her life is structured, that she's now into medicine, and obviously she wants to help, and she's going to end up, you know, in philanthropy work because she doesn't need the money. But that's how it's a life of design for our children. If we want them to be charitable, if we want them to be generous, it starts with the toys that they have, even sharing between them and with their cousins and with other children. So I think that's where it starts. I'll let Mishelle comment, then we'll come back to the faith part of it.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Terry. It's obviously a lifestyle issue, and you know the parents need to model it. So just to take you a little bit back before the pandemic, Tim, you know, generally what we did as a family was, you know, we contributed to other charities. Just on a daily basis, you know, I would have either biscuits or food in my car, and you know, just driving around Johannesburg, you know, seeing people on a street corner, you know, I would give them, you know, whatever I had in the car. So it became a way of life. You know, that's what we did in terms of charity, and obviously, you know, the kids followed that. You know, just to let you know, I've got two teenagers, a 17-year-old boy and a 15-year-old daughter. And then we have Lat Lamaki, who's 7 years old. And, you know, with my children, they're very involved. So, you know, they're with me all the time. We do things as a family. So when we do the drop off at Door of Hope in Hillbrow, my kids are with me. You know, when we clean out the cupboards and we clean out the toys and whatever, you know, we do it together as a family, and then we do the distributions together as a family. So, you know, it doesn't just leave the door and then they don't know what happens to it. They're very part of, you know, the actual giving. And this includes my teenagers. In terms of faith, you know, we've been brought up in the House of Rivers. My kids are currently serving in Rivers as well. And, you know, just Rivers' ethos of giving, giving your time, giving monetary. You know, I will never forget the day where I was sitting with my children in the auditorium, and my son took out his wallet, and, you know, he was doing his own giving, and, you know, it blew me away because I didn't ask him to. There was no pressure from us as a family. He just felt that that's what he wanted to do, and you know, it's obviously something that he's picked up from seeing us do. So when we would, you know, give him his pocket money, he obviously put something aside for church on Sunday, and that's what's carried through with my kids. So when we give, I don't give on behalf of my family. We each give, you know, of our own, which has been amazing. You know, especially for teenagers. You know, teenagers, as you said, can be very selfish. But you know, I've just found that the principles that we apply at home and the principles that the church has taught the kids, we seem to be working hand in hand. My kids are not on Facebook, they're not on Instagram, they're not on Twitter, they're actually not on any social media. They feel no pressure to be on social media. we've had to have very serious conversations, discussing consequences of what happens when you get onto social media and the responsibility that goes with that. So it's been a learning curve for all of us as parents, as a family. The kids are very grounded. They love church. They love serving at church. They're not pushed into it. They haven't been forced into it. I have days where they say to me, "Mommy, can you drop us off at youth?" And it's just that afternoon where I just want to have time on my own. I've had an exhausting day, and then I've got two teenagers saying, "But you've got to drop us off at youth, Mom." And these are the kind of kids they literally plugged into church and they love it. So it's been amazing doing life with my children. They teach us things. I've realized we've got to stay open-minded. I've seen them give, and I think I'm just so grateful that they're teenagers and yet they're not influenced by social media and the external world. It's been really good. It has been good with my family.
Yeah. So, Terry, you wanted to comment on the faith side, and then I think we'll just head towards a wrap up after that. Of course, Mishelle, you can add on also, just if there's anything else that you want to add around the faith side. Terry?
On the faith side, the biggest thing I feel is the Word of God says, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow, or they'll not depart from it. And this is so true, because I remember I grew up in church, in Sunday school. We moved on, we all went even out of the country for university, etc. And even if you'd go wayward or you'd do other things, you still knew that there is God. You still knew that, you know what, I need to pray. I need to have a Bible, which definitely God promises us. And this promise is true, that, once you train your child in the way of God, he will not depart from it. It always comes back. And it's about teaching our children, what is our faith all about? Our faith is all about generosity. It's about saving others, because Christ came to save us. So that's the big picture. That's the, that's what it's all about. That's why we are here. And our faith tells us to be salt, to be light. So for our children, what does that mean? If you are salt, you are adding value. You are doing something for someone. You are seasoning someone else's life. You are lighting up someone's world where there was darkness. When someone didn't have food, they didn't have school fees, they didn't, so it's all about how can I bring a smile to someone's face. That's what our faith is all about. And I think for our children is to know our faith is wrapped up into around these two things: to love God and to love others.
I like that.
And it doesn't matter the color of skin. It doesn't matter the status of that person, whether it's your helper, whether it's a waiter, whether it's the president, whether it's your teacher. It's just to deal with love with everyone, deal in love with everybody.
Wow. Mishelle?
Yeah, I must add to Terry, what I found being a parent, especially to teenagers, is that they don't have the same hang-ups that we do. They don't see color. They don't see color.
Yeah.
They don't see color. They don't see religion. They don't see politics. They just love their friends for who they are. He's my friend. They don't. If you have to ask what race, it's like, why is that important, Mom? So I think it's like more like an older generation thing. Where we focus on a person and the race and the culture and the religion and whatever. But what I've noticed with my kids is that none of that plays a part. They love friend A or friend B, and they don't see anything beyond that. That's their friend. The same thing with with helpers. What I've noticed with my children is that they share the same love. Everybody gets treated equally. There's no different. The way he says please and thank you to mom is the way he would say that to the gardener. So he doesn't judge, I think, in terms of what job you do. And this hasn't been intentionally taught to him. So I think it's just what they see. This is how dad speaks to people, this is how mom speaks to people, and they pick up on that, and that's the way they treat other people. So I just believe in terms of faith, like Terry said, if you train a child in the way of God, basically you equip them for life. I think especially with teenagers, it's so important for teenagers to be plugged into church. At the moment during the lockdown, my teenagers, cannot wait for youth online. We cannot wait for the Sunday services. Sometimes we watch it more than once, on a Sunday. Okay, so I'm not the only one doing that, Tim.
Yeah.
We miss the interaction of people, and I think we're just a family that love people, regardless of race, culture, religion. We are just people loving people.
Yeah. So just maybe your closing thoughts in terms of one, people out there at this time. I think there's need to really just give people encouragement, because I think people are still going through a lot of difficult times. And then secondly, others who are who are feeling they want to do something, but maybe they feel helpless and they don't know what to do. And then lastly, if I know you guys are still active in whatever you're doing, maybe you can also just share any contacts or anything that, of course, I'll still post that later, of how people can still get in touch or anything like that. So I think Mishelle probably want to jump on this one.
Yes. So, Tim, during this lockdown season, I've met quite a few people, just with hopeless, and what I've basically said to them is that, we've been, my family, we've actually been through the worst. Being self-employed and having a business, you will find that, you have your down times and you have your up times, and we've gone through some very difficult times in our lives, where business was not great, the last recession that we had, and so I talk from experience. When I have said to people, and the advice that I've given to people is that, sometimes we tend to look for things that we think we should be looking for, and God presents other opportunities that you may not expect or realize during these times. So I always believe that sometimes, we go through difficult situations to learn from experiences. It's not to break us down, it's not to punish us, but it helps us to grow, and it makes us wise. And that's where we've been as a family. We've had our bad experiences and we've learned from it, and we've learned great lessons from it. And this is what I've been saying to the people that I've met recently, that are losing their homes, or that have had people say to me, we've had to decide, do we stop paying our life policies in order to buy groceries? People are really going through tough times, and I've said to them, you know what, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a season of good, and there's always a new chapter in your life. So this will never go on forever. God will never let that happen. So just keep the faith and keep praying, and realize, you may have your own plans, but God has bigger and better plans for you. So, just always remember that God is in charge. And sometimes you may be expecting a certain thing, and it may not turn out to be that way. I've just found in my personal life, that's how it's been. I was always, going through the difficult times and saying, God, why are you doing this to us? Why am I going through this? And when you come out through the other side and you look back, you think, okay, that had to have happened in order for me to be where I am today. So it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. And, I just say to people, just keep the faith, keep praying, keep God at the center of everything.
Wow. Wow. I see Terry is just smiling and nodding and taking notes. Oh, I think you've muted yourself. Oh, yeah.
During this time of COVID-19, a lot of people are going through uncertainty. They'd planned their life. 2020 was supposed to be a certain way. And we said just come and blindsided a lot of us. There are a lot of things that we don't have control of. But there are also things that we do have control of. And those are the things that we need to start focusing on, the things that are within our power to do. The others that we don't, because we don't know in 2 months' time, will you be able to travel to maybe to the UK or not, or to go on your holiday, or would your company still be in existence or not? These are all things that we don't have control over. But we thank God that we have God on our side. So we need to know that just as Isaac prospered in drought, he is able to make all things, good things abound to us. And he's able to make a way where there is no way. We need to keep believing that our God is a God of miracles. We need to still believe in prayer. I cannot begin to even tell you during this time of lockdown, just being connected to my family church, as a connect group, those prayers that we do for one another. I've seen God working. I've seen him changing my circumstances, even in business. I also, one of our business is in the hospitality, where there was zero business coming in, but God made a way, and we had such a miracle windfall coming through because of prayer. So we need to keep believing that God is a God who still answers prayers. He still does miracle. Connect to God's house. Do not be a loner. Do not stay in your own zone, in your own space. Now everything is on the palm of our hands, with phones, with laptops, on Facebook. Connect to. I love listening to Pastor Andre. I love the connect groups. I listen to other preachers as well, other people who motivate and lift us. So let's latch onto that and be connected. Because I think even when animals are hunting, that animal that's, like kudu or impala, that's by itself, that's a loner. That the lions go for that one. So let's always stay connected. Let's be physically distanced, but not socially distanced. And in terms of helping, I think every day we our prayer to God should be, God, how can I help today? What is it that you want me to do today? You've got the permission to stop me in my program today to help the person that you want me to help. May you open my heart. May you open my eyes to see the needs that are around me. And I just want to say, if you feel that, this is for philanthropists, these are for humanitarians. No. It's for everyone. Helping is for everyone. Like you might know of someone who's hungry, and to be able to give them a sandwich, a peanut butter sandwich. So God uses the weak things of this earth to confound the strong, and he uses the things that people think are so silly to confound the wise. So, start flourishing where you are planted, bloom where you are planted, grow where you are planted. What's in your hand, use that little that you have, and you're going to see the amazing things that God can do to just, grow and make impact out of the little that you have. The first place to start is to have a willing heart, a kind heart, a loving heart, a heart that wants to help.
So true.
I like that. I like that. Wow. Oh, thank you. I don't know, Mishelle, if you wanted to add something.
Thank you. Yes. No. So, exactly. I just reinforce what Terry just said. It's during this time. It's you don't have to be affiliated to any charity organization or whatever. Just give with your heart. It may just be a word of encouragement. It doesn't have to be monetary value. Somebody just may need. A word of encouragement, just pick up the phone and check how your friends are doing. They say charity begins at home, check how your friends are doing. I just find that, within our social circle, pride is a big thing. People won't reach out to you and say, you know what, I'm suffering, or I need help, or, I need this. And what I've done personally is I've contacted my friends, my social circle, and said, how are you doing? I am doing this charity drive. How are you doing for groceries? And it's been amazing just to be able to offer that, because, you don't realize that you may have somebody within your family, within your let's not say community, because we are helping, but somebody within your social circle that you just take for granted, that they're good, or they're working, and you don't know their circumstances. So charity could be anything. It doesn't have to be groceries. It doesn't have to be, it can just be offering a word of encouragement to someone.
I think Pastor Wilma also mentioned it one of the Sundays, that there are people within Rivers Church who don't have food. These are, who come to church and they actually don't have food in the house, and they have reached out to the church. And so it's so important what you have said, Mishelle, that we should not take for granted, the people who are close to us and the people that we know, the people we go to church with, that they might be struggling as well as we do the broader charity drives, but there are others who are closer as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. I really, really appreciate.
Thank you.
What a profound, what an amazing, just sense of connection and community and family and just caring that I think you guys have really brought. And I would encourage you forward. I will tie this together. I mean, if there's additional information that needs to be added, I'll include that in the post. But thank you so much, and keep doing these amazing things. You guys are changing the world, and it's such a blessing just to know that there's somebody out there who is stepping out and making a difference. And you're inspiring and lighting the fire in others, and making even those who might be feeling like whatever little they do might not be that significant, to really just step out and just help the next person. And I think that's all what we need at this point in time. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Tim.
An amazing platform. You keep doing what you're doing, putting stories out there, motivating and inspiring others. And I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of your platform being out there.